Hello everyone, this video today is about QA Expert explains to the families of the Ethiopian Indonesian airline the cozy deal of the DOJ with Boeing, and they spurn them, rightfully so. You have to get your lawyers on board because I've spoke to a couple of the lawyers from Ethiopian Indonesian Air. They look at the money that Boeing gave you family members, I guess, as a boon of hospitality, but it's not true. Because if you dig deep enough families of the Ethiopian Air and Indonesian Air, let me tell you a sweet fact. The American Bar Association and ANSI are in bed together just like the DOJ. The DOJ is a customer of the American National Standards Institute and the American National Crediting Board, a customer that buys for a fee a service from ANSI ANAP. Who else? The DHS that I stood up in April of 2024, April 17th, I stood up the DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, is a customer that buys a service for a fee from ANSI ANAP, Boeing's accreditation body, also Department of Commerce, and also the FDA. They are all customers. For a fee, they're buying a service from ANSI ANAP, Boeing's accreditation body. Okay, they're not only the accreditation body, but they're also the underwriters. I've told your attorneys, I've called many of them, and they will deny it, of course, but I called many of them, and I said, go after ANSI ANAP. In fact, I put together, I think it's a 15-page document showing the intertwinement of alliances between the FTC, the FAA, the DOJ, the DHS, all the rest of these organizations with Boeing. It's disgusting. So, ANSI ANAP are also underwriters for the International Accreditation Forum, which is incorporated in Delaware, and its sister organization, the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation in Australia. You can't make this up, okay? So, we're going to go back in time for you so that you can grasp it, because they use a term called obfuscation, making things confusing for you. So, I'm going to try to debug this, okay? Again, ANSI ANAP are also founders of the International Accreditation Forum as well. In 2015 to 21, the IAF was handed over to a communist Chinese national, a Zhao Jinwu, was mandated by his country of origin, communist China, to take anyone's data from the China National Intelligence Law, Article number 7. He is also the chairman, or actually the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services, located in Beijing, China, and he also certified where the laboratory released the COVID virus in Wuhan, China, Bio-Level 4 lab. He was there, standing in the laboratory. I've got pictures. In 2017, issuing a certificate to a failed laboratory. They didn't have enough qualified technicians. Qualified technicians are the first line of defense when it comes to keeping these viruses contained. That's number one. So number one is this for Boeing. In 2001, after 9/11, Boeing had about 530 plus aircraft to build. They lost about 100 aircraft because, of course, everything was grounded, so a lot of companies pulled back. They didn't think travel was going to be big, all the rest of the stuff. And what happened is, that's in 2001. Just 7 months later, around April, they came out with a supplier bulletin for special processes. And the only organization that could certify your company would be the Performance Review Institute, PRI, for heat treat, welding, non-destructive testing, etc. It basically said, Boeing, send in your cert, send in your parts, we don't have to come visit you for 22 years. Just a couple months later, in July, they came out with PQRT-002, I think, -001, July 1st, 2002, that stated that if you are AS9100 for aerospace, that are ANSI ANAP accredited, send in your cert, send in your parts, we don't have to come visit you for 22 years. On their supplier portal, it states third-party registrars must be ANSI ANAP accredited or international equivalent, could be China, Iran, Pakistan, etc. And then the Progressive Resistance, when they most recently took down, I've got a picture of it, I put it on my TikTok page. They took it down. I took a snapshot of it back in March of this year. I have the time stamped as well, called the Management Committee, where you can grant, suspend, or withdraw certification. Who was on there? Boeing. They're trying to cover up And the worst thing is that your attorneys are settling for what Boeing is going to feed you, because you know something. There was a statistic. 84% of both plaintiff and defendants, when asked if they felt their lawyers colluded together, okay, working together, 84% said yes. And always remember, the judge, okay, in any case, is the CEO of the courtroom. And he's got to make money for the defendant and the plaintiff's attorneys. So now we move up. You have Boeing, okay? DOJ. DOJ, again, is a customer of ANSI ANAB. They pay for a fee, a service, and ANSI ANAB gives it to them, the accreditation body of Boeing. Who else does this? The FDA. The DHS, Department of Homeland Security. When I stood up, and you can look me up, Daryl Guberman, DARYL GUBERMAN, and Boeing, BOEING, put it into the search engine, hit enter, and go up. You'll probably see me already on #1, but hit images and you'll see me with my purple tie on. And I stood up there, and here I am talking to no more than Boeing themselves. So you have Boeing asking questions to Boeing, because Richard Blumenthal probably doesn't even know this. The DHS is a customer of the American National Standards Institute, the American National Crediting Board. For a fee, they're getting a service. Also, the DHS had a member on its board called Phil Matheson, getting $262,000 tax-free as a representative of the DHS on ANSI's board. You find anything wrong with that? Fiddling around with money, and it's a royalty payment or various, which means the IRS doesn't have any claims to taxes on it, basically, and they get their federal salary. I found out when I was in Washington for David Calhoun's inquisition on June 18th from a federal employee, a judge magistrate. He said, no, a federal employee cannot get paid by a private company like ANSI ANAB. Why do they get paid? Because they have all these federal agencies on board. They think they're absolved from all of this. So this goes to the Ethiopian Air and Indonesian Air family members. They're fucking you, okay? Your lawyers are fucking you, okay? And let them call me. My number is 203-556-1493. They're very fat and happy with what Boeing's finagling for the DOJ. Why do they do that? Because the DOJ sits on board. Department of Justice, who is a customer of the accreditation body that Boeing shoves down their suppliers and subcontractors' throats. And by the way, put Patrick Shanahan, fucked, in your search engine. And when he was Deputy Secretary of Defense for Donald Trump, that's exactly what he said about the F-35 program, that it's fucked up. So I can say that about your attorneys, because I have yet to find one good attorney, whether it's Ethiopian Air, Indonesian Air, or Alaska, that has competency, that are not saying, oh, I'm going to settle with this, because that's what attorneys don't want to work for their money. You know, they just don't want to work for them. They want to get their money in and take care of business, and it's terrible. So this goes again to the Ethiopian and Indonesian airline personnel, the family members. Please contact me. The DOJ is screwing you. The DHS is screwing you. All of them are screwing the poor family members, and we've got the data. 203-556-1493 or Daryl, TQRS, @yahoo.com. I humbly thank you, and get in touch with me, and get your attorneys to get in touch with me too, because you need an expert witness. We've got 40 plus years of quality, and this corruption shall and can and will be stopped. You hear that, Richard Blumenthal? You are just as bad as Boeing. You have 348 people on your shoulder, because the DHS is a customer of ANSI ANAB, the accreditation body that should be taken to task along with Boeing.